So hi Christian, hi Nicola. It's
Hi,
a
Daniel.
pleasure to have you here in Vienna for the first time. And we are here today to celebrate a podcast about um, restoration, setups, bow making, and interpretation. This is a new thing, I believe, in the world, because we are communicating our experiences for the first time. You are makers, you make instruments, Nicola, you make bows, and I am musician. So thank you for being here.
Thank you.
I would like to start very relax, asking just what was your first experiences with musicians? Why you want to communicate with us? What is the main point of that?
Well, actually, we work all the week, all the year in a workshop alone, but we make instruments or we restore them for musicians. So we need the feedback, and we need to know how the instruments are played, and is it good or not good enough, or what the points to be improved. And so for that we need to experience exchanges with the musicians.
Yeah, it's funny that you say that because for us it's the opposite. We are all the time in with many musicians, but the common thing between all of musicians is we don't know how it works, we don't know how it's built, and we don't know what to do in order to make it different.
Yeah, that's a shame. I think every musician should have training about how a bow and instruments is made and
Yes.
works.
And Nicola,
The same of Christian. Moi, for me, most of the time, when I talk with musicians, the problem is why it works, why it doesn't work. The musician has to compensate sometimes with his bow, and he compensate for something, and he think that's problem of the hand, a problem of the body, but often the time the problem provide from the bow. Not a big problem, but little problem on the curve, of the weight, of the balance, and nobody knows that. And I would like to talk about different adjustment possibles on bows, and what can I modify and adjust to improve the bows and
let me help you. Exactly. I think we were talking about this before, about materials, about tension, pressure,
Sure.
many things that you use daily because you are building bows, but we are guessing all the time. We are experimenting, but without
Sure.
any research.
Sure.
So thank you for coming from Lyon this week to help also the colleagues with their instruments. And let's give a good feedback about this conversation to the rest. So I would like you, for the people that is watching, to know a bit short excerpt of your biography, please. I would like to start with Christian.
Okay, so I'm Christian Charlemagne. I'm a violin restorer and a maker. I work in Lyon, in France. I've been started luthier as maybe 30 years ago, and set up my workshop in 2005. And now we are mainly specialized in high restoration on old and new instruments, and also make a lot of setup and adjustments for musicians, and hoping that we improve all instruments with them.
Thank you for telling. On Nicholas.
Yes,
I know you, but
yes,
the rest doesn't know you.
I'm a bow maker from Angers, near to Paris. I've been a violin restorer and maker before, during 15 years, and I was lucky to meet Jean Grimberger, a bow maker from the Mirecourt School, and was a pupil of Bernard Rouchard at Mirecourt. And I've learned the bow making with him and the restoration of the bow. And since 6 years, I just made some bows.
Thank you
Yeah.
for being in Vienna again. Christian, please, I'm aware you want to talk about restoration and about setups, but I think many of us don't know what is a setup.
Okay, so when you play your violin, actually you play three things. You play a bow, you play an instrument, but you play also a setup. That means, as a restorer, we can touch and restore the body of the violin. That's a specific job. And then it doesn't make any sound. For that, you have to make the setup and then to play. So today we'll talk about the setup because there are many things to improve and to do on the setup just so that you are comfortable to play. You can play your music without thinking about the instrument, but just thinking to the music.
Okay. That means which parts are involved in the setup?
Okay,
In an
so
instrument?
when I take a violin, you see there is a body and a neck. So most of the parts of the violin or cello or viola have names of the body itself. So this is the body and this is the neck, and you see there are strings above the body. So the setup means all the neck with the fingerboard when you touch the strings, the pegs, the strings itself with the little piece of wood here, the nut, then the tailpiece where the strings are attached, the chin rest, and mostly the bridge and the famous sound post inside. And also we're going to talk about the bass bar that you cannot see here. It's inside on the bass side of the violin.
Yeah, you will write for us that in here later. But why you consider also the neck a setup, a part
Okay.
of the setup? Normally, I always hear the strings are important or the bridge, but the neck also as well.
So you make sound with your right arm, your bow, and your string. That is the making of the sound. Then you send the sound in your instrument, but you got a little preamp before, that is the bridge. So if I want to make a string sound, it doesn't sound anything.
If you hold the bridge, it doesn't.
Yes,
sound, right?
because this is just bridging, but if you imagine just a string alone, it doesn't sound, okay? So you need a preamp to improve the sound, to get it rounder, and then it sends to the body itself. So the main piece is the bridge, because the sound gets here. But the bridge has a highness, a form, a roundness. It has materials and voids in it. You know, it's open more or less. If I want to make good bridge, I need space to do it. So I need an amount of distance above the body. So that's the neck projection. So the way the neck is projected above the body gives enough room to make a good bridge or not. So when you want to do a new bridge, the first question is, do you have enough space to do it? So
let me interrupt you here.
Yeah.
So the neck is part of the setup because the bridge
Depending.
you do it depending on
It depends directly from the neck.
from the neck. Also, there is a big difference, for example, between a baroque instrument
Sure.
with
So yeah.
a short neck. And,
So
yeah.
effectively, the setup has changed a lot from times, from medieval music up to now, and this was the result of exchanges between musician and luthier. The violin makers just did what the musician asked, actually. So there were two big changes in this history
Period. Yeah.
during maybe Viotti period, and then during maybe Beethoven
Beethoven,
period. And so the neck was thinner afterwards. It gets thinner and thinner. Why? Because formerly you just play in first position, and with the time we ask musicians to play alone and maybe in front of an orchestra, and then to move on the neck maybe very high. So you needed a very thin neck. Also, if you never play that area, you don't need a fingerboard so long. But if you want to play here, you need another fingerboard. Because it's very long, you need another material, another wood, harder, that is ebony. So now the fingerboard is long enough to play in very high position, but before the fingerboard just arrived here, maybe I can show you some pictures from ancient, from maybe the 16th century, and they play very differently. But the instrument is the same.
So the body stayed for 400 years, 300 years, but the setup of this body has changed,
Changed a lot.
and it was a conversation between musician and
Absolutely.
luthier.
At first, the violin had no sound post and no bass bar, because it was just to accompany the voices in churches, just for tune actually. So no use to anything else. And the more the time, the more there were musicians and composers playing and writing some music specifically for then orchestras, firstly without voices, then orchestras, then solos, and so on. So the violin setup changed, but the instrument remained the same.
Thank you so much.
Okay, we start this presentation with the first element, which is the string itself. So what we have to understand is that for a string to be played, it needs tension. Okay, so this is a G, but if there is not enough tension, it doesn't make a good sound. So when you make a string, you think of a tension. So the first thing I will check on the setup is what we call the vibrating length, which comes from the nut here, which is the starting point, to the bridge. When you play, you put a finger, what you do is just to have a different vibrating length, that's all. So the first important part is that the string starts precisely with notches in the nut. So you can check whether your strings are the same distance between them, and they have a good notch, very precise, for the string to be held firmly. If you play without putting your finger firmly, it's very bad sound. You have to push a finger firmly. Okay? So this is the same at the nut here and the bridge. Okay. There are several types of strings. You have
Gut strings.
gut strings, of
Metal.
course. So we play them actually also, and you have metal strings and strings that are mounted on a nylon or some types of nylon. That is the most common strings nowadays, but it's different way of playing. So we can have different setups according to the way you like, the strings you like. This depends on you, mostly how you want to take the string with the bow. So this is not quite my part, but I will take it into account when I make the setup.
Let me interrupt you there. So it means you can choose the strings you want to play with depending on the material, the tension will be different.
That's it.
And if the tension is different, then you need to adjust it
That's
a
it.
bit different.
Yeah, but I can also adjust the type of string depending on the vibrating length. So maybe, especially for viola, we have a lot of different vibrating
Instruments,
lengths. Yes, so we choose a string or another one depending on that. And so that's the first part of my observation when taking viola, actually, and also cellos most of the time. You got a string, but actually there are 3 parts on the strings. This is the main one, and there is another one here that sounds. You have harmonics there, and another one that sounds just a little bit, but still it is here. So here you can adjust it with the position of the tailpiece, close to the bridge or further. So we talk about the tailpiece later. And so you see there is already many questions about the string, which is the first part. Okay. Then I think I can talk about the neck. So there are 2 parts or 3 parts in the neck. That is the neck itself here, and the fingerboard above, which is in ebony, it's hard wood, and the nut at the top of it. So we've talked about the nut, which should hold the string firmly. And then the form of the neck is very important for you, because when you go up to the fingerboard, you don't think about it actually, but it's very precise. So you need something very smooth to go in many positions. It will depend of your hand and your body. So when we sell a violin or we make one, mostly we don't know who will be playing it. So we prepare the neck with common measurements, but when it's yours, we can change that. We can make a bigger or thinner neck. So when you choose a new violin, it's not a question for you at first, you're just checking the sound. If you're disturbed by the form of the neck, you will talk it later with the luthier, but it can be asked to be reformed and transformed. That's not a problem for us. And for the fingerboard, the same. There is a form of the fingerboard. It's round this way, and there is a little hollow this way. And depending on this form, you will be able to play with the good notes with the fifth,
Yeah.
and
Fifth intervals.
Yes, and also with the S. So if you have difficulties to play that way, if there is not good notes, then we can change that. Actually, playing violin should be easy. Never forget it. It should be easy. If you have difficulties, mainly it's because of the setup.
Let me interrupt you here. So that means you can have an instrument, any body, any instrument, but then the setup, the neck can be adjustable.
Yeah, surely. Yeah.
You don't need to suffer years trying to make it sound good. These
No,
quints intervals,
never.
you can adjust them.
Yeah,
to
we
make
can
them
adjust
easy.
them, and so you have to ask to the luthier. If you have any problem, you should ask to the luthier. We can change the fingerboard, we can change the whole neck, so removing wood from the head, keeping the head, which is original part, so we don't touch it, except in restoration. And then we include a new neck, we sculpt the neck, and we glue it into the body again. So you got a new neck, which is called neck graft, on an old violin. So actually, all the violin before 18th century,
18th century.
yeah, they have a new neck.
All of them have
All
a
of
new
them,
neck.
yeah, except if they are played with the
Baroque.
original music.
Okay.
But most of them were transformed in the 19th century when Baroque music wasn't the most famous music. So we can change all of that. because of comfortability, or, and maybe I will talk about it now, because I need a new bridge. Okay, so maybe I talk about that now. So the bridge is just a little piece between the strings and the body, so it helps the string to be high, and you did need that to play comfortably with a bow. So you know you need to play just one string and not the fourth one. So the bridge is round at the top, and so all your four strings should be apart the same distance. Otherwise, you will feel something very special. That's the first thing to measure, and you have highness above the fingerboard, so you should be comfortable with that. Maybe it's too high or too low, depending mainly on the body of each one. And that's the first point. And then the sound is transmitted to the body with an arc. So there is an arcing on the bridge. Normally, with a new bridge, it's quite square in the back with the bottom of the body, because the tension is going mainly this way, so the body has to be solid.
Would you like to explain to us, maybe with a picture,
So
we understand
yes,
clearly?
we can make a picture.
Please.
So a bridge, actually in French, is chevalet, which means the object to carry pictures when paint. But English people have maybe better names for that. So a bridge is a real bridge. The form is quite like that, and I try to do the same the other side, which is difficult. Okay, and it's that way, and this is okay. I think it's not too bad.
It looks very good.
Okay. And I forgot something, which is what we call the heart. So the string are here, and you got a first bridge here, then a second one here, and the last one here. So it's 3 bridges together. Okay? The sound, for example, if I take the G string here, the sound will mainly go this way, and mainly this way. A little bit is going on this fit of the bridge. That means, you know, here, this is the belly with a little thickness. Oh, I have to say that the bridge is not glued to the belly.
Yes, that's important, yeah.
So under this fit, you got the bass bar, and here you got the sound post, which is like this. So the main bass sound goes this way until the bass bar, and some of it, maybe it's, sorry,
Here you have some.
yeah.
Oh,
Okay, never mind. 90% is going here, and 10% of the sound is going on the sound post. And this is 30-70%, and so on. The river opposite going this way. So the wood is absorbing the sound and making tone. The more wood you have, the less power you have, but the more quality and intensity you have. So depending on the quality of the wood, if it's dense or hard or anything, you will avoid, or you will make some void in the bridge to let the sound go faster and intense. So that is the work of the luthier. to make a good sound with a good setup. That means mainly a good bridge. Okay, so this bridge is important, this one also, and this one also very important. Now you see the bass bar is glued, so it's quite difficult to make a new one. It's possible, we do that. I don't personally touch on original bass bars. I think it's part of the violin, but for many cases it can have been changed in the time, so if it has been changed, I can change it again. For the sound post, it's not glued, and you can pick it up from the outside of the violin, so we change it a lot of time. And actually, because it's not glued, with the dryness of the air, or maybe there is too much humidity, we have to change it from time to time, and maybe to test some other sound post. The sound post can be placed under the feet here, more or less here on here. And you see, if I go this way, maybe I catch more bass in the power. But because the sound will go this way, if your sound post is here, imagine the sound is going out.
It's not gonna be connected
Yeah,
to
so it doesn't
the
work.
higher tone.
Yeah, it doesn't work. The same if the sound post is here, your sound is going out also. That's part of the problem. Okay, and you see the bridge is quite like a body, so the main movement of the bridge will be that way. Actually, there are other movements, but depending on the large here, it will move better or harder. So you can imagine yourself with a child in a, what do you call it, a balançoire?
In a
Slide.
slide,
Slide, yes.
Swing.
in a swing.
Swing, yes. With a child, if your child is heavy, it will be hard to push it, but when the movement has started, it goes longer. And if you want to be able to make a faster movement, it's easier if your child is lighter. So we can make adjustment here on the waist. So that's just one example on the bridge. We can make a lot of adjustments depending of what you are telling about your instrument. The main sound is here, and the body of the instrument mainly is response and getting volume, and for the outside. So most of the time, maybe you're not happy with your instrument. Actually, it is just this piece
This piece together with the
with the sound
Sound
post.
post.
Yeah, that's it. So you see what I told to a few minutes ago, that the highness of the bridge, that means that distance here, if it's too short, I can't make a new bridge, because everything will be
press.
pressed, I mean, very small. So I get a bridge, maybe like that, too small, you know. In the reverse, I can have a very high bridge, like that. So I need a good distance between the body and between the string. That's why we always work on the neck before making a bridge.
So it's not good idea just to go for a new bridge without checking the neck. It's not a good
Depends,
idea.
yeah,
Okay.
but we have to look about everything.
Always consider the entire equation.
The entire question. So that's the answer is mainly for the luthier, but you will have to exchange with your luthier to see whether it's necessary or not, and if you can afford a new neck or a new fingerboard. I think the important question is, can you play easily on your violin, or do you have difficulties? You're able to play easily without thinking about your instrument. If the case, you have a good instrument well set up. If not, there is something to do with the setup, surely. Okay, I explain one point with the bridge. So the belly of the violin, I always say violin, but it's same for cellos and viola. So it should be like this behind. So you've got the fingerboard here, okay? So here it is quite square. And in the front it is quite like this. That is the belly, actually. So always look at that on your bridge, especially if it is an old one. Old means 2, 3, 5 years ago or more. And you know, while playing the violin, the strings is taking the bridge that way. So with the time, your bridge will go like this. You have to change the bridge. The tone of your violin doesn't change. It's the same bridge, the same wood, so everything is quite the same. But you have no dynamics on the bridge. So you have low response, low answer, maybe not so many power. So that means you may change the bridge. Actually, there is no emergency because it will never fall down or break. It happens, but it's very rare. So the thing is more for power and response of your violin. And by the way, the sound post is not here, it's a little behind here. There is more gap between both of them. And of course, we can adjust the sound post more or less close to the bridge. You can look at all that on your violin. You can check. My advice is not to touch anything, but to ask. Actually, you could touch the bridge. Formerly, the musician touched all the time their bridges. I mean, in the 17th century, when you play in Venezia or in Paris the year later, it was not the same note, the same pitch. Mm-hmm. So how do they do? They just moved the bridge. Mm-hmm. And the sound post was very far behind here, and the bridge also, it moved about between 2 centimeters and a half. You can see that on the pictures for the 17th century. The bridges are always very backwards on the violin. So you can learn that very easily actually. But you check the form of the bridge here, you check the position of the sound post. If something is wrong on the E string or the A string for the viola, it's mainly a problem of the sound post. Daniel, your problem yesterday with your E string, this was surely a problem of the sound post because the sound post is vibrating a lot when you're playing. Also, it moves because of dryness. So, especially on a new violin, or if you travel a lot, or between winter and summer, here in Austria, you have hard winters, so it's different. If you play in Colombia, it's different. So for you people, if you travel from Colombia to Austria in winter, it's hard for the instrument. So you have to check the sound post, especially after moving. Anyway, you can hear it always. Okay. That's it for the bridge. Thank you. Okay, we talk now about the tailpiece. So the tailpiece here is that part of the setup that holds the string back of the bridge. So you see this part of the string is vibrating, there's a sound, so we can set the sound up or down depending on the tone, the overtones you want. You have different materials for the tailpiece: ebony, palisander, and you've got also a string here to attach the tailpiece, which is more or less thin. It will improve or not the sound on your violin and change the angle here on the bridge. All that will change a lot your sound of the violin. Also, I can move the tailpiece up or down, and this will change two things. So the first one is that the string will be longer between the two parts, so with more tension, so maybe more power, or too much. If there is too much tension on the string, the body of your violin has too much pressure. And the second point, it's like you imagine a string, and in the middle something with height, and if you make it vibrate, it will be vibrate more or less with the weight of this piece. So the tailpiece is working like that. So it makes some weight on that. So for instance, on cellos, the tailpiece in comparison is very light. It's strange because the sound
It's very down, low. It's
low.
a low register. Yeah.
Yes. So that means that maybe more sound is not something always good, because it makes disturbance also. So you have to check, to try.
Experiment.
Sometimes experiment. Yeah. Okay, so then except of the pegs, I think I've talked about everything on the setup. And for the pegs, it's a very little part. Everything in the violin sounds, but pegs, it's very, very little part. But actually, it sounds. So normally, we use the same materials for the pegs, tailpiece, and the chin rest. And the chin rest is also important because it affects your position of the violin, the way you play. Because of the chin rest, you will have a violin more or less like that, more or less like that. If it's like that, the way you hold the bow is different. Okay, so this is very important. And also the space between the chin rest and the body, you leave space for the sound to move freely or not. So this is important also. So all these parts, chin rest, pegs, we see at the very end of the setup.
I would like to add, so all these parts you describe, which are today named as accessories of the instrument, are really the main point of the instrument to have a good sound.
The accessories.
It's called like that. Like if you go online to buy,
what we call
it will be named accessory,
Yeah.
but it is not. It's actually the sound of your instrument.
No, it sounds, your violin, but we call accessories pegs, tailpiece, and chin rest. Actually, the tailpiece is not at all an accessory. It's very, very important, very important. And you cannot fix it alone. You need a luthier to fix it properly and to know where to fix it. Bridge is also an accessory, but it's so important, so we don't call it that way. And actually, you can buy some bridge and put it alone on your instrument. There is adjustments to be done by the luthier. You can not change a bridge from an instrument to another. It never happens. It's not possible. There are too many factors, and so this is the main piece, the bridge, on your setup. Why? Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I would like to introduce to you the bows, and I would like to start to present the different parts of a bow. So, when I work on a bow, I work on the three parts. I work on the button, I work on the frog, and I work on the stick. The frog is, and the button is a piece of ebony and silver. They are different materials, but most of the time is ebony, silver, and pearl. The button, okay, is the same, ebony, silver. And the most important part of the bows is a stick. We can talk after about the wrapping, the leather, was it's an important thing, the wrapping. The sticks, it's a Pernambuco wood.
These are the best ones, the ones of Pernambuco.
What's
The best quality is Pernambuco.
the different quality. So to talk about the wood, I would like to present to you different sticks. So I put the presentation of the bow, and we start to talk about the wood. We have 6 species of Pernambuco, quite 300 subspecies, and we use 2 species of Pernambuco. The name is orange leaf or coffee leaf, and between these different sticks we have different density and tone. Density and tone to depend of the variety. We have some yellow one, very more orange one, or very red dark brown. The weight is different. This one you can check, but I measure the weight is around 90 grams. This one is around 110 grams, and this one is around 120 grams. I take the 90 grams. You can say check the tones with the microphone. It's quite clear. If I take the medium one, can hear something, I hope. And the last one, the heavy one, the tone is more on the bass, more warm sound than the first one. I've got around 30 grams difference between the 3 sticks. And if I want to make a violin bow, I've got 30 grams between these 3 sticks. How can I make a bow? I use 2 techniques. One is to make an octagonal stick or a round stick. The choice is about the weight. If my wood is heavier, to have 60 grams, I use the octagonal stick because I can remove a lot of wood and take my bows quite strong. If I make a round stick with this one, it will be a spaghetti, too much soft. This one, quite light bows, made a round stick because it's light. I make a round stick, big round stick, and the weight it will be at 60 grams and quite strong. If I make a orthogonal stick on this one, it will be too hard to play, too hard. So I adjust in function of, to depend of the wood, the kind of rock. So an octagonal stick, it's not a bow does not finish, it's just a choice of the bow makers to depend of the wood.
Nicolas,
Yes.
let me interrupt you 1 second. So it means the color gives you already lots of information about the bow you are gonna have.
When you see a bow, the first thing that you see is the color, with octagonal or it's a round stick. The first information is round octagonal. Octagonal, you see, it's not a hard stick, it's just a warm and deep warm sound stick. So a more dense stick, just made with an octagonal shape. So this one, very dark. The sound will be more warm, deeper warm, more rich sound. The yellow one, it will be more clear, powerful. It's For violinist, it will be a great stick, but very clear sound, and it will be in time too much tired sound. You understand? Very tired to hear. Too much clear. Lack of bass information, of warm information. Me, I prefer the red dark brown stick with more warm sound.
Okay. So for a cello, for instance, this yellow Pernambuco will not be the best.
It's not.
decision.
Exactly. For two things, the weight. It's better. The warm, the heavier to make a cello bow, and the sound. It's more
Adaptable.
adapt for
But
the
if
cello.
you have a violin which has a very dark sound, very smooth, then the option of the yellow bow
Mhm.
will be the best because it will be powerful and the sound is very dark. So
To depend of the instrument because it's a couple. Don't forget the bows and the instrument is a couple. Sometimes the instrument needs to have a warm sound because it's very clear instrument, very powerful and clear instrument. So the bows bring some warm and deep sound. If the instrument is warm and deep sound, it's not necessary to bring again warm sound. You have to find the instrument and you have to find the bow
that mix.
to mix to make
Nicely.
a couple.
Yeah.
That's the part for the fabrication.
Pausa, yeah.
Okay, just to continue with the density of the wood, I would like to just illustrate with the little pieces of sticks. To have the good length for sticks, I cut a piece of a sticks, okay, and I've got samples of different sticks, and I put some samples in the water, like that. And you can see the difference, the density between the different sticks. They are
One they stay in the surf.
light sticks stay on the top, and the heavier at the bottom. My teacher, my master Jean Gravager said, all the stick on the top you can put on the trash bin. I don't work on it. I keep just the
The ones on the bottom.
exactly. Yes, just to illustrate the density. To continue, I would like to talk about the weight and the balance of a bow. For me, it's the most important thing after the work of the sticks. We have three weights to depend of the sticks. The violin sticks it's 60 grams, viola 70 grams, and cello is 80 grams. But it depends of the balance. The balance for me is the most important thing. Not to have lighter bows on the head or a heavy bow on the head. Most of the time, the musician when he talked about the bow, when he played, he said me, I've got a light bow. Okay, what does it mean to have a light bow or to have a heavy bow? It's a problem of balance. The balance, I check the balance like that. I put the bows on the ruler at the point of the balance, and I measure the distance between this point and the end of the stick without the button is 24.5. It's the measurement for violin bow. Violin bow for 60 grams is 24.5. For viola bow is 24 for 70 grams. For the cello bows is 80 grams for 23.5 centimeters. If you have this distance for a violin bow, If you have 20, for example, you need to have 24.5, you have 26 grams. That means you have a heavy head, because you need more of these parts to compensate this part. You have a heavy head. If you have maybe 23 grams, it's light head. Most of the times we have a problem not of light bow or a heavy bow, but of balance. If the balance is correct, you don't feel a heavy or light bow. That's important, the balance. And you can adjust the balance with the wrapping here. The silver is used to change the balance. If the head is heavier, you can put a lot of wrapping here with different thickness of silver, like 0.3 million of silver, 0.4 million of silver, different thickness and different weights. You can adjust the balance of the head with the silver. When the head is lighter, it's more difficult to change, because we have to put a silver plate. It's possible if it's a new one, because I can change my plate, but if it's old bows with the original head plate, it's not recommended to change the original head plate. So I've seen in my career some plomb in the head, into the mortises, some plomb, to have a heavy head to compensate these parts. But it's not a good idea, because that brings some parasite sound, like vibration in the bows, like if you have something like shaking inside. Okay. Now I would like to talk about the curve of a bow. I don't know if it's the most important part of the bow, but it's one of them. The curve is like the engine of the bow. It depends of the shape that the bow makers want to do. It's personal, the shape of a curve. But we don't have to put too much curve and don't have to put less curve. A flat stick, too straight, there are no response, no reactivity. Too much curve, the stick will be too much reactive, uncontrollable, out of control. So when I shape a stick, just to explain, when I make a bow, I work on a stick like that. It's a rock on a straight stick, and after I warm it 5 centimeters by 5 centimeters, and I curve my stick in these parts. Okay, I can show you after, but the curve is made during the bow making, but it's not shaping. It's the wood is how do you say? Blend? Yes.
It's blend. Yeah.
Blend.
Shaped.
Shaped and put on this tip of counterform to have the good shape. When a musician bring to me a bow, the first thing I looked is the weight with my balance, the point of balance with my rule, and the curve. I put the bows on the table like that, and I have between the hair and the sticks between 1 and 3 millimeters maximum. If the stick's like that, I've got nothing, it's too much curve. If my stick is like that, it's too less curve. It's between 1 and 3 millimeters. I can measure just by eyes like that. there are a lot of sticks. There are the soft sticks and we have the hard sticks. For the soft sticks, I made a curve at 3 millimeters between the air and the sticks. And for hard sticks that support the pressure, I use the curve at 1 millimeters. Because the button is the tool to put the pressure on your stick, okay? And most of the time the musician put too much pressure on the bow. When you have the hair straight like that, okay? Your stick there don't move, no reaction. You put one of them, and you can try that. Just one turn of button, and you test. It's not enough. You turn 2. The bow start to be reactive, and you put 3. Normally, it's quite more reactive. It's not the best. Maybe between 3 or 4 turns of button. But after, you can start to the feeling of too much pressure. The vibration is how do you say bloqué? Stopped. Stopped. Yes, the vibration are stopped. And stick is like too much pressure. It's very sensitive and out of control. It's the beginning of the lose of control on the stick. If you put again, you can start. The bows will become very uncontrollable, out of control. It's very shaking. To have a warm sound, a beautiful sound with a good playability, is 3 or 4 turns of button, but not too much. The button is a tool really important. You don't have to put much pressure on the bow. A hard stick can support too much pressure, and the soft sticks can be very careful with this kind of sticks.
What could happen if sorry for interrupting, but what will happen if you put all the time too much tension to the bow?
You broke your bow.
It will happen.
Yes, you broke the bow because like tension in the sticks, in pressure. And if you just tap in you shock the bow, you can crack the head very easily. The difference everybody says, okay, you can make some harder sticks, very harder sticks. You can put some pressure, more curve, but the sound is quite bad. It's exactly the same for a violin maker. You can make a big thickness on the top, on the back, to have a strong violin, but the sound is quite not so pretty, not so. So I prefer the soft sticks because the sound is more large, more free than a harder sticks because they are too much wood and not enough vibration. About the curve, just I check my work. Tu couperas après. You cut after. Stick resist, some stick shaking. Okay, too much. Okay. À parler. Okay, continue. To continue on the curve, I would like to talk about the adjustment of the curve. When I shape my curve, I like the curve in a like a U, the letter the U. U. I like a curve that starts like that, more flat on the middle and curve at the end. to have a good start, like a trampoline. You jump at the beginning and you can jump at the end of the bow. If I put more curve, like a V, in the middle of the bow, there are nothing at the beginning when you start to playing, and they are out of control in the middle because too much curve, and there are nothing at the head. So we can adjust the curve for the most pliable bow.
I want to say something about this because you were telling me this also before, and then I got the idea that so you can have a very good wood stick and it could be good balance and look beautiful, but if the curve is not correct,
Exactly,
then it doesn't matter, it will not work.
exactly. It's possible to have that because the curve is a part of the making of a bow. For a musician, you don't have to look like a bow maker, how is made the bow, different thickness. You have just to play. Musician, you play the bow. And that's right. And you can trust on your feeling about your right hand. Right hand is the most important thing of a musician, for your feeling, what's happened. And most of the time, the musician can feel the problem on the curve. The problem of what? Problem of lose of control, shaking. When sometimes you play, you have a lose of control. The bow have some shaking, or just on the parts, lack of dynamics, not jumping, nothing. Well, like a bump on the road when you drive with a car, you play the bow and you have like a bump.
Or for example, that the attack is late,
Yeah.
that you want to start to play and it doesn't come immediately.
Yes, it's a problem of curve.
Yeah.
Problem of the stick have to be very straight, and after you can adjust to have more reactivity at the beginning or more activity at the end of the bow. But I would just to say the problem with the musician, most of the time there are there's not the knowledge about the curve of the bow. So he think the problem will be from the pen. Mm-hmm. It's the problem of the musician, but it's not the problem of the musician. Sometimes it's the problem of the bow, the problem of the curve. So we can adjust different parts of the bow to improve the bow and to remove different problems. Shaking is too much curve, too much pressure. You can remove some curve to have a bow not out of control. If the bow is too straight, we can put some curve for more activity. If we have a bump is sometimes your stick is straight and one time it is little bit like that. We can correct that. To bend, to move, to remove. It's the same for an instrument. Before to change of instrument of a bow, we can check if everything is correct, is it work normally, and if there's no problem. Because we can change lot of things on it before to change of instrument and bows.
Of course, this will help us to understand better how it's the playability of it.
Yes.
If we understand that the resonance it's different in each bow, the curve could be different sometimes depending on the resonance. So
the tone is the tone is the wood. Okay, I can do anything about the tone of a bow, but I can change something about the reactivity and the out of control problems. And the balance, if you have problems of weight on the bow, but not about the tone. Don't, you want to talk about?
I think that's it, no?
You want to take about just about the hair? Okay. And I would like to finish about to reharing a bow, to rehair a bow, about the reharing. For me, change the hair on the bow is the most difficult part of the work. It's difficult to have the good length of hair, the good thickness of hair, not too much, not too less, and to have when I put my hair in the head, to have the same tension between the left and the right. Because sometimes when you put the hair in the head, you have too much tension in the right side than the left side, and it's changed the direction of the head and curve your bow in a bad way. And after you don't understand why you have less of not control of
Balance problems.
of balance of response of reactivity because of your bow is little bit like that because of the hair is too much tension in just one side, and I don't like the hair with their return on the ferrule. You understand? I prefer the flat, very flat hair, not return on the ferrule, because when you broke some hair in this part, you create of a déséquilibre. You create of unbalance. So I prefer a flat hair, thin hair, because heavy hair you have a lack of quality of the sound. Thin hair is much better for the sound, more clear than too much hair.
We should be careful with who is gonna change our hair because it could destroy the bow.
Yes, yes. You can destroy normally. You can't destroy your bow when you play, but when you bring the bow in the bow makers, to depend on this work because you manipulate the bows, all very little parts, and you can make some trouble on the bow. So it's
important now that we know how to check the hair, that it's equal length, it's equal,
exactly.
There is not shorter at some point.
Sure.
Because that it's protecting the bow as well.
It's better to have a little short hair, because when you play, the short have to longer and longer. It's better to have a little short hair than a longer hair, because it will be too much longer at the end, you understand? So a little bit too short, but really equal on the both sides. Sure? Yeah?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. Now then.
I have two questions, one for each of you, and it's about balance of instrumental bow and bow. I play the viola, and I wanted to ask how in the setup we can organize for a more balanced sound. For me, it was always a struggle when I wanted more bass or when I wanted maybe warmer high notes. So what kind of things we can do with the sound post, with the bridge, with the setup in general, so it's more balanced and know that the instrument goes more into bigger basses and not so nice high notes. This
Okay.
is
First question I will ask to you is what you call more bass or less bass. It can be power or intensity. So we start discuss about that, and you show me,
yes.
because when we use word, sometimes it doesn't mean the same thing. Okay, and after that, the main tool for the balance is the sound post. So for the sound post, we use two tools. This one, you know it with the dentist. It helps me to look inside. and this one to pitch and catch the sound post and move it. So I can move the sound post close to the E string or to the G string if you want more or less bass or more or less treble. So more bass normally means less treble,
Yes.
and the reverse, but not always, because we have many possibility to adjust everything. All I told you, the place of the tailpiece, the form of the bridge, the thickness of the bridge, the length, vibrating length, and at last we can also change the bass power. That's a possibility.
Yes.
So that's good news, because that means you have a lot of possibilities to.
Yeah, I cannot change
To make
the
it better.
tone of a violin, like the tone of a bow. It's there, so it never change, or just by a little adjustment, but just little. But the balance, the work, the job of the setup, clearly.
Yes, thank you. And for Nicola, I wanted to ask the same thing with the bow. For example, now my bow has a heavier tip. Is it recommended to maybe take out wood from the bow without compromising the sound or the responsiveness of it, or how does it work?
It's a good question, because to depend on if I work on the old bows on my bows. If it's on my bows, and I can change everything. I can remove some wood if I want. But normally, when I make my bows, it would be to have the good balance and the good weight. It's my main objective. On your bow, it's difficult to remove some wood because it's not my bows.
Actually, it's forbidden.
But we can try. To depend of the flexibility. In my workshop, I used a tool. The name is a deflectometre. I haven't got picture. I can show you picture later. A deflectometre is a tool. We measure the flexibility of the stick, and I've got some parameters to have hard, medium, or soft stick. And when I make a bow, at the end, when I remove the wood, little grams by little grams, I use this tool to know where I am about the flexibility. We can do the same with your bow. We can remove. We can check we can measure the flexibility, remove the wood, and check in the same time the flexibility to have not too soft bow. But I think on your bow the problem is you have too much wood in the last part of the bow. That's why it's more heavier at the head. And you have to know that if you remove some wood here, a lot of wood doesn't change the flexibility. I can remove 10 grams here, doesn't change the flexibility in these parts. If I move 0.5 grams here, it changes very fastly the flexibility. That will depend on each part, but I have to work on it. But a bow with too heavier on the head, the problem of your bow, because we have seen it, it's heavier, okay, at the head, okay. So we can put some silver here at the wrapping, but it's a heavier bow, it's 72 grams. So if I put silver here, it will be a 75 or 76 grams bow, quite a light cello bow. It's a heavier bow. So it's a little bit complicated.
Thank you.
Do you want to make a question? No? Seul?
Okay.
Sí, sí. ¿La puede leer? Sí. No, de memoria.
Okay, I would like to ask a general question to both of you. I mean, anyone can answer. It goes like this: can modern luthiers match the quality of Stradivari or Guarneri?
Okay. Yes.
I knew it.
Actually, it's been proved with a test behind,
Behind a curtain.
a curtain. The main thing that I was struck by is that there is, when you play a violin behind a curtain and you ask people to classify the 10 violins you try. So it's very clear when you get the result that there is more common points between 10 violins played by one musician than between 10 musicians playing one violin. So the most important in the sound is you. You make the sound. And actually, you and the bow. That is the sound. After that, I think we can, and we know a modern musician play a Strad or modern one, whatever. There are plenty luthier that works very well, plenty instruments that are very good. It's just a different of conception when you play music and the soul you have. I think the musicians that play modern instruments, they are more concentrated on the music, on the present, on what they're doing at the time. And when you play Stradivari, there are whole history behind you. Sometimes you play with Mozart himself, maybe, I don't know, and it's different kind of character and personalities, and most of players that have a very good violin actually have several violins that play modern and all violins, both, they change.
Okay, thank you. And another question I would like to do is like because everything what we do, I mean, for me, like music and also luthier world is like an art in general, like, but of course it somehow it became in a business, of course. So which recommendation would you like to give us as students to how to recognize, I don't know, maybe a overpriced instrument, or I mean, maybe it's a super general question. I mean, everything is about the sound, how you feel with the instrument. As a musician, we know, but for example, I'm from Venezuela. I never tried such good instruments, and I don't know which advice would you give me to maybe canalize this
Okay.
idea?
I don't know exactly, because I have my answer as a luthier, because I can see and watch. The main point for you is that you never buy anything because you are told to. You know you need or you don't need yourself. I see a lot of students going very far in the studies with very poor instruments. They succeed. They manage. Okay. If you change the neck entirely, you make all the setup, you buy some very expensive strings. Okay, maximum will be 4,000 euros. You will never pay more than that for all the setup complete. but you can have some factory violins, which are a copy of old ones with a good measurements. Everything is quite good, and we can change just the fingerboard and maybe just the bridge and sound post, and you will manage. You will do something with that violin. If I play Stradivari, it sounds very bad. Okay, but when I don't know any solist play a Chinese instrument, basic instrument, it sounds great. So your luthier should be able to make a good setup. So that's the point. So your violin has to be built properly with good measurements and good quality of measurements. So that's a problem for violas. Also, several times I've seen violas that have very strange measurements, and we have difficulty to make the setup. And show your instrument to other guys or musicians or luthier, and have a good relationship with your luthier, even if you buy somewhere else. Normally you should be able to bring an instrument to your luthier and to ask questions with him. He will not set the violin, he can tell you something. And okay, you can buy the violin because it's affordable, it's not too much, and I can make the setup afterwards because maybe we will need it or not, depend.
Okay, great. Thank you.
No. We talk more after all that, but
Yeah.
that's a difficult question.